A budget is a tool that helps you manage your personal finances. With a budget, you know what your income is and what your expenses are, and you can use it to make both short and long-term financial decisions. It's also a useful tool for staying out of debt. By knowing how much money you have, you can plan your spending more easily. But how do you plan a budget? It's pretty simple. You make a list of all your sources of income and your expenses based on how often they come up. A budget is usually made for periods of 2 weeks or a month, whichever you prefer. Depending on what you choose, make sure to calculate your income and expenses by multiplying or dividing them. For example, if your budget is calculated on a monthly basis, but you receive your salary every 2 weeks, you can calculate your monthly salary by dividing your biweekly salary by 14, the number of days in 2 weeks. Then, multiply the result by the number of days in the month. The outcome will be your monthly salary. Besides your employment income, you may have other sources of income, such as tips, bursaries, or student loans, a registered education savings plan, personal savings, contributions from your family, or gifts. Some income sources are more regular, like your employment income, while others are more irregular throughout the year, like gifts. You need to take this into account when planning your budget. When it comes to expenses, there are different types. A fixed expense is an amount that is always the same and comes up on a regular basis, such as a cell phone bill or rent. A monthly cell phone bill is an example of a fixed expense since it is always due on the same day each month and the cost is set by a contract. On the contrary, expenses where the amount and timing of payment vary, such as buying clothes, new furniture, or birthday gifts, are variable expenses. It is important to estimate these variable expenses as accurately as possible while allowing some flexibility. Once the amount of these expenses is assessed, you can divide it and allocate it across several months of your budget. This way, month after month, you save up until you need to spend the amount of money on expenses that vary. For example, going to the dentist. Some expenses cannot be reduced in the short term. These are called uncontrollable expenses. Paying rent is an uncontrollable expense because you have to pay the amount you agreed to pay when you signed your lease. Other expenses can be reduced in the short term. These are controllable expenses. Going to the movies or a restaurant are good examples of controllable spending because you can cut back on this if necessary. Main expenses are rent, phone, internet, transportation, food, tuition fees, health and personal care, clothing, or debt repayment. By keeping all of your bills and receipts for a couple of months, you can identify all your expenses and estimate the amount of each expense as accurately as possible. You can put them into categories and calculate the total amount for each category. A good trick to help you save is to set aside a fixed amount of money in your budget every month or every 2 weeks. This will let your savings grow to pay for specific projects or unexpected events, because there are always unexpected situations in life. The most important thing to remember when creating a budget is to be as realistic and accurate as possible when evaluating your expenses and income. The goal is to have a clear picture of your finances that you can rely on. For example, try to be as accurate as possible in estimating the cost of your groceries. $300 per week for one person is far too high. On the other hand, $15 a week is too low. Evaluate your needs and habits to find the right balance for your expenses, including the cost of groceries. The most time-consuming part is creating your first budget. After that, it is a tool that grows with you. You can refer to it regularly and make the necessary adjustments according to what changes are happening in your life, like a salary increase, a new car, or a new study program. In short, a budget is designed to grow with you and help you make smart financial decisions.